Today on the Commanders, we have the latest injury updates heading into this Week 2 matchup versus the New York Giants here for the Washington Commanders. Then speaking of the Commanders here, we got some new Commanders trade rumors centered around former first-round pick cornerback Emmanuel Forbes and some potential replacements at the cornerback position for Washington to consider before the trade deadline this year. But before we get into the Commanders content today, I do want to say that I just want to say big thank you to all of our active duty service members, all the people with military family out there. Today is September 11th, and of course this is a big day in our nation here, the best nation in the world, the United States of America. And today really shows, not only is it a day of remembrance and it's a day of honoring those that passed away on that awful day, but it's also a sign that here in America, this people and this nation will not be separated no matter what, and we will rise up stronger than any adversity that comes up. So spam those USAs right now to show your national pride right now, and I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. So let's get into the Commanders content here, and we've got some injury updates here from head coach Dan Quinn today. Noah Brown, wide receiver, recently signed receiver for the Washington Commanders. He was out in Week 1 with a shoulder injury. Dan Quinn says he's on the right track. And speaking of people on the right track, rookie out of Illinois, defensive tackle Jerzon Newton, who's dealing with a foot issue, is also on the right track to play in Week 2. Coach Quinn didn't give any guarantees that these guys would be playing here this week, but he definitely left the door open, and Lord knows we could have these two players on the field in Week 2 and beyond here for the Burgundy and Gold. We also got an injury update on Emmanuel Forbes, who really had a tough day in Week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going to be wearing a wrist splint in Week 2 versus the Giants, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's still listed as a starter this week. He's going to be going up against guys like Malik Neighbors, Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. So I'm really hoping that Emmanuel Forbes is ready to go. And, if last week was any indication, he certainly wasn't. So now that he's wearing a wrist splint, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. If I was Coach Quinn, I wouldn't trust Emmanuel Forbes as far as I could throw him right now, all 180 pounds of him. And, I just don't think that he should start. I would trust Benjamin St-Juste, and I would trust Michael Davis. I would trust Noah Igbinoghene more than I would trust Emmanuel Forbes at this point. I hope he proves me wrong and goes out there and balls out and has a great game in Week 2 if he does, in fact, play. But right now, if I'm Coach Quinn, I'm not rolling with Emmanuel Forbes. And now, speaking of Emmanuel Forbes, Bleacher Report came out with an article today, and they listed Emmanuel Forbes as a top 10 NFL trade candidate after Week 1. This article was written by Mr. Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report, and this is what he had to say in his article today about the former first-round pick. This season was supposed to bring the 23-year-old a fresh opportunity, but it doesn't feel as if Washington's new regime truly believes in him. After being called for 2 penalties on the same play in Week 1, Forbes was pulled from the lineup twice. At this point, it might be best for the Commanders to find another starting corner and see what they can get for Forbes in a trade, although his health could complicate matters. A few teams might be willing to take a flyer on the young Mississippi State product, who did flash a lot of playmaking potential in college. Now, if I'm Adam Peters, and if there's a team that would be willing to take Emmanuel Forbes with the film that he has put out in the National Football League to this point, I am taking that. I don't care if it's a conditional 7th-round pick. I don't care if it's a pick swap between a 6th and a 7th-round pick. If I can unload Emmanuel Forbes and I can get any sort of upgrade in the 2025 NFL Draft, I am absolutely taking it. Now, in terms of which teams Forbes could be traded to, these are the 2 teams that Christopher Knox pointed out. First one, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns might be a logical suitor given their willingness to take chances on former high draft picks who haven't panned out elsewhere. They added Kadarius Toney to their practice squad earlier this week. Another team that they mentioned as a potential suitor is the Los Angeles Chargers here. The Los Angeles Chargers, who are rebuilding under new head coach Jim Harbaugh, might also be willing to kick the tires on Forbes. Harbaugh presumably wants to build a dynamic defense in LA, and his team doesn't currently boast a surplus of cornerback depth. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Would you trade Emmanuel Forbes if someone offered you a 6th-round pick in exchange for him? Give me a yes or I know for today's pinned comment, YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, go find that pinned comment at the top of the comment section and give me a yes or a no. Coming up here on the Commanders Report, we got 4 Emmanuel Forbes replacements, whether that be free agency, whether that be trade. I've got 4 options for you guys coming right up here on the Commanders Report. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, we all know that experiencing a sporting event, especially a football game live, whether it's pro or college, is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on your couch. And lucky for you guys, Game Time has a brand new feature called Game Time Picks on their app, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And it's super easy to use. You just go into the Game Time app, you find a game that you want to go see, and then you select the Game Time Picks filter on there. And what it does is that Game Time puts all of the tickets in their database for that particular game or event into a special algorithm to show you the best possible deals available on their platform. You don't have to do the research yourself. You don't have to research on a bunch of different ticketing apps. Game Time has the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, and you can get even the better deals here by using Game Time Picks, which is absolutely unbelievable. You can also get all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with crazy fees at checkout, which is really convenient because I hate it when they slap a $70 fee at the end of the experience and they think that they have the lowest price when they don't. And then you also get flash deals on Game Time. So what that means is that if you're a procrastinator like myself and you wait to get your tickets last minute, Game Time actually rewards you for that by driving their already lowest price guaranteed tickets downwards, so you get even better ticket prices the longer you wait to the start of your event. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. So some potential cornerback trade targets that Bleacher Report listed in that same article where they listed Emmanuel Forbes as a trade candidate was Jonathan Jones from the New England Patriots, their current number 2 cornerback, opposite of Christian Gonzalez, who should be the person they took instead of Emmanuel Forbes here in Washington, but I digress. And then Kaiir Elam, a former Florida Gator there who's known for press man coverage and is a good fit for this Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. scheme. Now, I don't think Jonathan Jones is going to be on the trade block, at least not yet. You know, the Patriots started their season 1-0 with a big surprise, upset victory over Cincinnati. I think that they really want to lean into their defense this year, and they might try to see if they can win some games here before the trade deadline. But if Drake May goes in there and, they're struggling on offense and they're losing football games and they're selling at the deadline, I do think Jonathan Jones is a name to be keeping your eye on. But let's shift over to Kaiir Elam here because he's more of a depth piece for Buffalo right now, and I do think he'd be more likely to be dealt in a trade right now if the Commanders wanted to go get him. This is what Christopher Knox had to say about Elam and why he may be available. Elam appeared in 13 games as a rookie, but only played in 3 games last season. It doesn't appear as if he's headed towards an expanded role in 2024. Acquiring Elam would be a bet on upside given his limited resume. And then specifically, his fit with the Commanders here, Christopher says the Commanders might also want to take a look at Elam given Forbes' lack of development and the team's ongoing issues in pass defense. Washington allowed the most passing yards in the league last season and surrendered 280 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns in week 1. So let me know down there in the comments section, would you make this trade right here? Okay, would you bring in Kaiir Elam and a 2025 7th-round pick in exchange for a 6th-rounder in 2025? Give me an A for accept or type D for decline. Let me know what you guys are thinking down there in the comments section. For me personally, I'm definitely considering it if I can make this happen. But, let's go outside Bleacher Report's article here, and I think there's 2 other names that the Commanders should consider at this point in the process if they do want to replace Emmanuel Forbes. And the first name to consider is one you don't have to trade for, and that's Xavier Howard, former number 1 corner for the Miami Dolphins. And I think the reason why Howard hasn't been as productive in recent seasons there in Miami is because they've been trying to run a Vic Fangio style of defense where the corners play off. It's a lot of man-match coverage, where Xavier Howard is traditionally more of an in-your-face, press-man corner. That's what he did in Brian Flores' defense when he was there. He was their true number one outside lockdown press corner, and he was awesome at that. And he was also injured last year, so that's why the dip in production happened. Now, there is some rumors that he's not the best locker room guy in the world, and maybe, that's the reason why the Commanders haven't brought him in. But he is somebody with a ton of experience in a press man role, especially that number one press man corner role, and that's what he would be filling if he were to come here to the Washington Commanders. Now, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon here before I reveal the last cornerback trade target for the Commanders today. If you want to add a cornerback and you want to replace Emmanuel Forbes as the number one CB on this football team, give me a like down there right now to help out today's video. The final name to consider here is kind of a bigger name here, probably the biggest name we've talked about today, Marshon Lattimore from the New Orleans Saints. Now, Lattimore was a trade target during the offseason. It was known that the Saints were entertaining potential trade opportunities for Lattimore, but I'm not sure anybody was really willing to cough up the necessary trade capital. The Saints like some of their younger corners that they brought in this year. They finally have some depth at that position. So I do think they'd be willing to let him go for the right price. But keep in mind, if you go out and get Lattimore instead of a Xavier Howard, who is a free agent, or a Kaiir Elam, who's probably only like a day 3 pick kind of guy, you'd probably have to give up more of like a day 2 pick, whether a second or third round pick, to get Marshon Lattimore in a trade. He is a true number one if you end up going and getting him. He is an awesome press man corner. He would be a fantastic fit here in Washington. So if the Commanders are truly trying to win this season and Marshon Lattimore is gettable for a decent draft pick, I would certainly consider going out and getting him and giving him a new contract. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Add a cornerback here. And if you don't want any of them, just type none in the comments section. But if you want Jonathan Jones, type JJ. If you want Kaiir Elam, go KE. If you want Xavier Howard, type XH. And if you want Marshon Lattimore and you want to give up a third-round pick or something for him, type ML down there in the comments section. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we've got in-depth Commanders coverage like this every single day right here on YouTube. So without further ado, guys, raise some hail, and I'll see you guys next time.